What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. This is Legitical Response. We cover political news, keep you up to date, and keep you informed on everything that the government does because they do underhanded stuff and we need to know about it. So that's what I'm here for. What's up, everybody? How the hell's your day going? Yeah, we having a gravy day over here. Yeah, work flew by. Work flew by today. Got a whole lot of stuff done. But now, let's get into it. We've been talking about the Supreme Court a lot lately. Man, they've been mulling over all kinds of different cases, from Trump's immunity, presidential immunity, to immigration law, to gun law, to just about everything under the sun. As a matter of fact, they were going over arguments the other day about whether the government can kick you off of social media or not. Yeah, that's BS. I don't think the government has the right to get in contact with social media platforms and persuade them that, hey, you need to kick this guy out. He's selling disinformation. Yeah, I don't think that's a legal justification for the White House and the FBI and all these other places, government entities, to do stuff like this. I find it wrong. I find it despicable. I find it just another notch on the list of things that the government does that I don't like. Of course, the government does a lot of stuff I don't like. That's the whole reason for this channel. They do a whole lot of stuff we just don't like. But sometimes they do stuff that's not so bad. I'll give them that. Every once in a while they do stuff that's not so bad. Now, the Supreme Court, I covered the other day, Texas law, HB 4. It's basically a law that gives the right to any law enforcement in Texas to arrest, detain illegal immigrants and deport them, to get them out of there. There's special permissions, of course. They have to have justifiable, reasonable doubt, I guess, a good suspicion that this person came into the country illegally, such as a video or physically seeing them coming into the country, stuff like that. You can't really just go off of, oh, hey, I think that guy may have came into the country illegally. Yeah, that's not going to work. But we know that just last week, I believe it was, the Supreme Court put a stay on that order after an appellate court ruled that the law can go through. Flip-flopping back and forth like they do with the courts. It was kind of, it's been back and forth. One court struck it down. The other court said it's okay. They put a stay on it, appealing to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court put a stay on it. As a matter of fact, as of Monday, they put an indefinite stay on this law. And now, today, surprise, surprise, they lift the stay and allow the law to go through. Check this out. Supreme Court allows Texas to enforce new border law. Insane. A divided Supreme Court on Tuesday lifted a stay on a Texas law that gives police broad powers to arrest migrants suspected of crossing the border illegally while a legal battle over immigration authority plays out. Now, that is not true. Once again, right off the top, mainstream narrative machine is lying to me and you. They lie through their freaking teeth. This does not give them that broad of powers. Okay, the only power it gives is the power to arrest somebody that is suspected of coming into the country illegally. That's very narrow, as a matter of fact. You can only go after criminal aliens. That's it. I don't know what they mean by broad powers. And then they want to go ahead and throw in a legal battle over immigration authority plays out. Huh? What do you mean over immigration authority? This law has nothing to do with immigration authority. That's something totally different. That has everything to do, of course, it involves Texas, but it's a totally different situation. That is talking about the Texas National Guard blocking federal authorities from getting into certain areas to do their quote-unquote patrols that they're not doing. Let's keep going, though. The Biden administration is suing to strike down the measure, arguing it's a clear violation of federal authority that would hurt international relations and create chaos in administering immigration law. That, once again, that is the Biden administration lying to everybody, because when you logically think through this, there's no way that Texas can hurt international relations whatsoever. It only takes place inside of Texas. How the hell could that hurt international relations. Yeah, it can't. So that's the Biden administration trying to whinge and say that, oh, it's going to hurt international relations. You better strike this down. It's all BS. And creating chaos, what do you mean by that, Biden? What do you mean create chaos? Arresting criminal aliens. That's all this law does. I will have to remind you of this several times throughout the video because these people love to lie. How is it going to create chaos? I would like to know. If you have any ideas of how this would actually create chaos, let me know down in the comments section. I would love to be informed on that one. Texas has argued it has a right to take action over what Governor Greg Abbott has described as an invasion of migrants on the border. Opponents have called the law known as Senate Bill 4. It's Senate Bill 4, SB 4, not HB 4. I said that earlier. The most dramatic attempt by a state to police immigration since an Arizona law more than a decade ago, portions of which were struck down by the Supreme Court. Critics have also said the Texas law could lead to civil rights violations and racial profiling. How? How could this lead to any civil rights violations? I can kind of see the racial profiling, but you know what? An argument for that is the United States is made up of pretty much every race in the entire world. So, no, it can't. Not whatsoever. If we have every single race in the entire world living inside the United States, how the hell can we racially profile somebody who entered the country illegally? You can't. Because another reason for that is because we have people coming from all over the world coming into this country illegally. Yeah. Now, I will admit it's mostly Hispanic, Latinos, South America, those areas, but we do have a lot of Chinese nationals coming in. We obviously have Middle Eastern people coming in. They're flying into Mexico or flying into wherever the hell they are and then crossing the border illegally, having to pay the cartels money to do this, which is absolutely insane. Why you would want to pay a criminal organization money to get you across the border when you can just go to a port of entry and get a visa. Makes no sense to me. Now, I know the timelines for doing that is, they're kind of bad, but you can still do that. You can still try to do it the legal way, but they don't. They don't try to whatsoever. A federal judge in Texas struck down the law in late February, but the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals quickly stayed that ruling, leading to the federal government to appeal to the Supreme Court. The majority did not write a detailed opinion in the case, as is typical in emergency appeals, but the decision to let the law go into effect drew dissent from liberal justices Ketanji Brown Jackson, Elena Kagan, and Sonia Sotomayor. Sotomayor wrote in a blistering dissent that allowing Texas to enforce the law invites further chaos and crisis and upends the federal-state balance of power that has existed for over a century. Once again, I know these people are smart people, right? But how does it create chaos and crisis? It prevents crisis. As a matter of fact, it plugs a hole of crisis. We have a crisis on the southern border. Mrs. Sotomayor, Justice Sotomayor, if you will. We have a crisis. This would only assist federal agents in trying to stop the absolute invasion going on our southern border. And once again, it doesn't upend the balance of power between states. Yeah, sure, it goes beyond what a state would normally do, but, if I was the federal government and a state offered to assist me with a apparent crisis that we're having. I mean, there's been an emergency declared for a long time now over the border in Texas. Yeah, I would welcome that assistance. However, the Biden administration, in its ultimate infinite wisdom, says, no, you can't do that, trying to stop Texas from doing it. Why would you not want the help? This is only going to assist the federal government. These people are playing politics, folks. That's all they're doing. They're evil. Evilly playing politics. Because we heard, I don't know if you guys have heard, but Dr. Phil went on several news programs, cable TV, and actually said outright that his sources in CBP said that they were taking children from the cartels and bringing them and putting them into sex trafficking rings. Under the authority of the Biden administration, this is a very, very strong allegation from Dr. Phil, and it hasn't been challenged. So, am I to believe that? That seems outrageous, right? That seems very extreme. But at this point, with what they're allowing to happen on that southern border, knowing that these people get assaulted, a lot of women get assaulted. Of course, there's not nearly as many women and children coming across that border as they would lead you to believe. It's a whole hell of a lot more military-age males, from 17 to 45. Whatever. It's a whole lot of that. In a separate dissent, Kagan wrote that the type of order entered by the Fifth Circuit should not spell the difference between respecting and revoking long-settled immigration law. This has nothing to do with immigration law whatsoever. Nothing to do with immigration law. This is all about stopping criminal aliens. Finding criminal aliens and kicking them out of the country. Has nothing to do with actual immigration whatsoever. Justice Amy Coney Barrett, joined by fellow conservative Justice Brett Kavanaugh, suggested in a concurring opinion that her vote in favor of Texas stemmed from the technicalities of the appeals process rather than agreement with the state on the substance of the law. So far as I know, this court has never reviewed the decision of a court of appeals to enter or not enter an administrative stay. I would not get into the business. When entered, an administrative stay is supposed to be a short-lived prelude to the main event, a ruling on the motion for a stay pending appeal, she wrote. The Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals could potentially block the measure again, and either side can return to the Supreme Court once the Fifth Circuit acts. But the dissenters said the court was wrongly allowing form to trump substance. The battle over the Texas immigration law is one of multiple legal disputes between Texas officials and the Biden administration over how far the state can go to patrol the Texas-Mexico border and prevent illegal border crossings. Several Republican governors have backed Governor Greg Abbott's efforts, saying the federal government is not doing enough to enforce existing immigration laws. No, I think it's doing just fine with the immigration laws, but it's not doing a damn thing to stop criminal aliens from crossing the border. The Supreme Court in 2012 struck down key parts of an Arizona law that would have allowed police to arrest people for federal immigration violations, often referred to by opponents as the Show Me Your Papers bill. The divided high court found then that the impasse in Washington over immigration reform did not justify the state intrusion, and I would have to agree with that. That is a very good thing they struck that down. That law spurred on the sovereign citizen movement, if you will. It helped push that right along because Arizona State Police and local police were setting up roadblocks to check people's papers, essentially. It was some Gestapo crap. And a lot of people were pissed off about that because it violated the Constitution. Now, if you want to compare this to that, yeah, there's some major differences here. This doesn't do none of that at all. This only allows police to arrest criminal aliens. This blows my freaking mind. These people refuse to get criminal aliens out of the country, people that come here illegally, right? Like, it really blows my mind. If you go anywhere and somebody says, hey, you can't be here, and you stay there, like you go to Walmart and they tell you to get out, and you're like, no, I'm going to stay here. They'll call the police, and the police will come and say, you have been trespassed. And if you refuse to leave, you get arrested. That is the same thing that's going on here with these criminal aliens. It has nothing to do with immigration law whatsoever. They're not supposed to be here, folks. And it just blows my mind that these people are okay with this. I mean, look what it's doing to our country. We know why the Democrat politicians want all these criminal aliens coming across the border. Joe Biden himself said years ago, not even that long ago, as a matter of fact, In mid 2000s, Joe Biden was talking about, if you allow unfettered immigration into these cities, he was talking about sanctuary cities, it will turn your cities to dust. Joe Biden said that, so he knows exactly what he's doing. That's why I call them insane and evil, because they know what this is going to do to these cities. We've already had, the mayor of Chicago and New York and Boston and all these other places talking about how this is straining their system. They're having to divert money from over here to give shelter, food, credit cards with thousands of dollars on it to criminal aliens that have come into this country and been bussed up to these places because they're sanctuary cities. They freaking ask for it. You got the public screaming, we can't handle this. We don't like all this. We don't want these people here. And yet they try to strike down laws that would help stop that. They won't do nothing about it, folks. Alejandro Mayorkas, the head of CBP, the Secretary of Homeland Security, has been impeached from the House. High crimes and misdemeanors. The Senate, democratically led and insane, will not take it up. What the is going on in this country where they just allow all this crap to happen? They're calling them newcomers now. For God's sakes, Joe Biden apologized to a murderer for calling him an illegal. Freaking blows my mind. But that's all I got for this one, y'all. I want y'all to let me know what y'all think about all this down in the comments section. I mean, should Texas enforce this law? I mean, and why is the federal government trying to stop Texas from doing this? Right? All this is going to do in reality is divert a bunch of these people to go around into New Mexico. Now, then New Mexico is going to have to deal with this problem. That's all that's really going to do. Of course, you're still going to have people trying to cross the border into Texas, but a lot of people are going to avoid it now because of this law. I think it's a good thing. I think we need to stop the flow of migrants coming across that border. And if you want to do something about the immigration, process, sure, that should be expanded. Expand the hell out of it, as far as I'm concerned. Do it the legal way. Get these people some timely access to a visa and then access to citizenship. Why the hell not? I don't understand what the hell their problem is, why they can't do that in Congress. But that's your Congress, folks. My Congress too. But y'all let me know what y'all think about all this down in the comment section. That's all I got for this one. I want to thank everybody for watching. Hey, don't forget to hit that like button for me if you don't mind. I would appreciate it. And y'all try to have a good day and be positive. Peace.